What's the word, people? Big Will back. Another episode. Life After Prison TV. Where crime is our focus, right? Especially these corrupt cops here. So we got two of them. Two of the Goon Squad officers from Mississippi. Sentenced. One to 20 years, one to 17 and a half years. And although, I believe his name is Elwood. He's the one that shot Michael Jenkins in the mouth. Although he got 20 years, I believe his co-defendant, who was the lieutenant who would cover up the crimes, who would oversee the torture that they did to these human beings, I believe he should have got 20 years as well. I don't understand how only the federal guidelines, though, only 20 years. When they're law enforcement individuals, they should be held to a higher standard, and when they get punished, they should be punished to a greater degree of punishment than the average person. Don't get me wrong, they're human beings, but the position that they take and hold is to protect and serve. And when they do the opposite and they punish and torture and they kill people, this lieutenant says, I had no problem killing people, he said. No problem. Let's listen. Glad they finally get sentenced and get their fate.
Court today, Judge Tom Lee sentenced Hunter Elwood to the maximum 20 years in prison. Jeff Milton got 17 and a half years behind bars. They are the first two members of the Rankin County Goon Squad to learn their federal fate, all for actions of allegedly planting evidence, of torturing victims, even planting drugs and a weapon to try and cover their tracks. One defense attorney in court today admitted their actions were atrocious.
This has been a historic day and historic sentencing.
Hunter Elwood, the man who shot Michael Jenkins in the mouth, got 20 years in prison. The first member of the Rankin County Goon Squad to be sentenced, his attorney stated in court that if deputies wanted to work overtime for the Rankin County Sheriff's Department, they had to work with the Goon Squad on the night shift.
So that just goes to tell you, if you wanted to work at the overtime, if you wanted the overtime or the night shift, you had to work with the Goon Squad, right? So that's just saying not only these 6 individuals are guilty, but any officer who wanted overtime in the Mississippi Sheriff's Department, in the Rankin County Sheriff's Department, if you wanted overtime, you had to work with the Goon Squad, and you did this. You were part of this. None of them ever came forward on their partners or co-workers. Okay, so there are many other officers and individuals out there. There are people serving time in the Mississippi prison system for crimes that they didn't do, for evidence that was planted, for illegally arresting black people, for beating them, all in the name of racism. I believe they should be charged with hate crime. I believe they should have been charged in the Terrorism Act and possibly given a life sentence, a death penalty. There have been individuals that have said that their family have died, men have died, at least 2 people have died due to this Goon Squad, as they call themselves.
Elwood apologizing for the actions of he and others for abusing and sexually torturing Eddie Parker and Michael Jenkins in what started as a suspicious person investigation, but later led to a cover-up.
Some would say, like sun coming out.
Jenkins somewhat relieved that the man who shot him got 20 years, the maximum under the federal sentencing guidelines.
This guy never go away.
Hunter Elwood stood in court and apologized to both men. Parker stood up in court and forgave him.
For, what, is given and what is done, I forgive that part. But other than that, he still did, you know what I'm saying, what he did, and he has to be punished for it.
Elward put his weapon in Jenkins' mouth, pulled the trigger, but it didn't go off the first time. He did it a second time, severing Jenkins' tongue as the bullet exited his throat. Later Tuesday afternoon, Jeffrey Middleton was sentenced to 17 and a half years in prison, the reported architect of the Rankin County Goon Squad. In the assault in January of last year, 6 officers tortured the victims, tested their tasers to see which one was the strongest, and tried to cover all the evidence after. Prosecutors say Middleton said he had no problems killing anybody.
Any claim that they didn't have any idea what's going on, I believe was put to rest this morning.
Middleton was a lieutenant who not only took part in the torture, but helped in the cover-up of the evidence. Attorneys for the victims maintain that this was no isolated evidence, but evidence of widespread misconduct by the Rankin County Sheriff's Department and its leadership.
As Hunter Elward said through his attorney, you could not, as a deputy, work the night shift unless you signed on to work with the Goon Squad. That means the Goon Squad ran the Rankin County Sheriff's Department.
Wow.
They ran it. While Brian Bailey was at home, his officers ran his department for him.
And they ran amok. And any black person that they saw that they wanted to pull out and torture or harass and arrest and beat and tase and whatever else they did, they had free reign to do it. And that's why I believe their sentences should be much harsher than what they are getting.
For him because Bailey didn't care enough to supervise them and monitor them.
And he should be next.
Both Elward and Middleton are already in custody and now headed to federal prison. 2 more members of the Goon Squad will show up here in federal court tomorrow to learn how long those former officers will spend time as federal prisoners. We're live outside federal court. Scott Simmons, 16, WAPT News.
I believe Sheriff Bailey should be right there with him. And he should be the next one to get 20 years and be charged in the corruption and the misconduct in the sheriff's department. And that just goes to show you, if this is going on in the streets, imagine what's going on to the prisoners that are in prison behind them walls. Prisoners that are in jail for shit they didn't even do. If you're a black man in Mississippi or a black woman, if you're a black person in Mississippi, especially speaking Rankin County, you can't walk the streets. When you see a police officer or a sheriff department employee, you got to put your head down and look away so you can't get numbered out or picked out. But even if you stay clear, like Edward said, he stayed clear of them. And it didn't work. He still was picked out for sitting in the house. Imagine sitting there playing a video game and 6 guys bust in your house and start tasing you and handcuff you and beat you and kick you and sexually assault you and rape you and belittle you, then shoot your friend in the mouth, and the whole time they're thinking, we're gonna die here. We're gonna die here tonight. And by the grace of God, they didn't die. And this was broke open. We'll see how things move forward with the sheriff in Rankin County. But if this has been going on for years, the citizens in that county, the white folks in that county, this man will be re-elected again. And the torture will continue to happen. Which is why the U.S. government has to step in and remove the sheriff and have him charged. It's your boy Big Will, Life After Prison TV. Let me know what you all think. This is history. This is groundbreaking. They've said it. There's never been a law enforcement official in Mississippi that's ever been charged to this degree of crimes. Let me know what you all think. Leave your comments below, and what do you think? Justice is served, or I know there'll be some haters that say, "Oh, they deserve it. They must have did something wrong." That's some racist people. We'll see you on the next one. Life After Prison TV. Peace.